Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Michael Unbroken podcast. My name is Michael Anthony, and I am an adult survivor of child abuse. I am a mentor, an advocate, an author, and an international speaker. This podcast is about helping you understand your past, get out of the vortex, and become the hero of your own story. Now, recently on Instagram, I hosted an AMA. If you don't know what that means Ask Me Anything. And in this AMA, I got a series of different questions. Some have been really fascinating, and I love diving deep into them. And I want to share some insight on one that kind of hit really close to home with me recently. Before I get started, I think it's really important to note, as I always do, that I am not a therapist, I am not a psychologist, I am not a doctor, and I have no cure for anything that you have going on in your life. I am simply just a person who has experienced a lot in life, and I want to share my experiences with you in the hopes that it will help you get out of the vortex and become the hero of your own story. Ultimately, that's what this is all about. How do we take the tools, the mindsets, the practices, the entire concept of Think Unbroken, implement it into your life and change it for the better, right? And that's why I started hosting the AMA. So I give people the option to ask me direct questions and get direct feedback. And because of this way it works, I'm trying to keep it as anonymous as possible. So I won't be mentioning anyone's name today. But the question was really simple. How do I be a good foster parent? This person messaged me and they said, hey, I am getting ready to foster some children and I just want your thoughts. To me, first and foremost, that is such an honor. That question is such a big deal to me. It really took me back when I was asked that because I am not a parent. I'm not. I don't have children. I don't know that I ever will. I have never been in foster care, but I have experienced it and I've seen the darkness of what foster care is and what it can be. You see, my mother's husband, my stepfather, his mother, which we will call foster mom for the sake of this conversation, had multiple children under her care. And during after school, a lot of weekends, a lot of our holiday breaks while we were in elementary and middle school, we spent time with foster mom. My stepfather was an over-road trucker, my mom was in and out of rehab, and this was what throughout spurts of being homeless. What I can tell you about foster care is that I've seen the darkest side of it. I saw a woman who had children for the purpose of a paycheck. And I mean, even now, my hands are a little shaky sharing this because I get so fucking mad knowing that what happens in foster care can be more disgusting than anything that happens any other place on planet Earth. And it's really sad. So foster mom had a series of children in and out of that house throughout the course of time that we were there. And she had a couple of kids who were there for as long as I remember, and even after. And the one thing that I can tell you is that foster care can either be something beautiful that can save children, that can give them the tools to grow, to be loved, to be cared for, and ultimately become amazing people, or it can destroy them. And it can take them, and it can strip from them, and it can hurt them. And it's the same way for a lot of people's homes. But when you step into being a foster parent, I believe that you have not only a responsibility, but a moral obligation to be the best person possible for a child who is in need. Because these kids are coming from a place where they don't have love, they don't have guidance, they don't have support. They are probably already been abused. Many of them have been molested. Many of them have been homeless. Most of them are probably failing in school. Most of them probably have intense behavioral disorders that you have to step into. And ultimately, I believe that a lot of them just need to understand that they are being loved and they're being cared for. I have some of the most horrific stories you could ever imagine from all of the years that I watched foster mom take care of these children. And I could see why my stepfather was the way that he was, why he was so abusive, because that's generational trauma being laid down upon us, right? In Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma, I write a small passage about a story that I will never forget. When foster mom one day dragged one of the girls, and she was probably 9, so I was probably 9, we were the same age, into this garage where we spent all of our time. And it was a dark, damp, dingy garage with concrete floors. And she dragged this little girl in there kicking and screaming. And she said, "Look at this. Look what she's done." And she takes a corn muffin out of this little girl's underwear, throws it on the ground, strips her naked, beats her in front of us. There are literally like 10 of us kids in this garage watching this happen, and makes her eat that muffin off the floor. I put that in the book because it's this memory that I will never forget. And in that moment, I felt so ashamed and helpless and embarrassed and all of the things that you could possibly imagine as a bystander. And being 9 years old and looking what happened to this child and thinking to myself, I never want to know what that feels like. And in that moment, I realized something really important about adults. There are adults who care about you and adults who don't. And this woman used her foster children to take out all of her wrath on the world. Whatever it was that was pent up in her that made her such a bad person, she multiplied that time and time again onto these children. And, growing up and being abused in the way that I always thought about the fact that abuse must be normal. And you just see it secondhand, and it's just so much worse. And I imagine where that little girl and the rest of those children would be had foster mom been a good person to them. And I'll be clear, I don't know where they are now. I don't know. I haven't seen these children in 20 years, maybe a little bit longer at this point. But I do know that the things that I witnessed in that house, no one should ever witness. And more so, no one should ever experience. And it's not that far different than my childhood. Here's my thoughts on this. Because you asked me, and I'm going to keep it real, you have to show up for these children. You have to give these kids the opposite of what children like me and children like these foster kids have experienced. You have to give them love and encouragement, support, hope, and give them the thought that they can have dreams, that they can be people, that they can be loved. And I know it's going to be an uphill battle, right? Because these kids are coming from a place where they've been nothing but discouraged their entire life. And they've been thrown place to place to place. You might fight them, right? Emotionally, physically, even at times, right? To protect yourself. Like, these things happen. Be aware. You might have to protect yourself. You might have to put yourself in a position where you have to be ultimately super vulnerable. These kids are scared. They're coming into, most of the time, they're coming into a situation, sight unseen, and suddenly, after being abandoned for 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 years, suddenly there's someone who cares about them. If you're listening, I'm doing air quotes. The reality is that children like us don't really trust adults because we've not been given any reason to. And every time that we have, something has been taken from us. So I caution you, tread lightly and give them compassion and give them support and show them that you care. And on the days when it's the hardest, that's where you have to step your game up even more. That's the day that you have to double down on love. That's the day that you have to double down on patience and kindness and gratitude that you have the opportunity to impact and change someone's life. The children that you are fostering could become the next leaders of America. They could be sitting where I'm sitting right now and empowering other people. And so I'm just sending you all my strength and all of my love and all of my encouragement and all of my courage, because what you're stepping into is not going to be easy, but it will be beautiful and it will be super rewarding. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. And to all of you foster parents out there who do it the right way, thank you so much. I will say this one last thing. As I said, I don't know if I will ever be a parent, but I'm driven to this concept and this idea that one day I will foster children. And maybe I won't. I don't know. I can't predict the future. And I don't know if my advice is right or wrong, but thank you so much for asking me the question, because I really want to empower people to feel like I'm open. And it's only going to be my opinion. I don't know, right? But I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. So thank you so much. Think Unbroken is coming out. You can pre-order it at thinkunbroken.com/paperback. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. I'll see ya.